I'm about to give y'all 6 different ways I saved $25,000 working a 9 to 5. I know 9 to 5s don't really get that much love these days, but it's hella paid if you do it the right way when it comes to stacking your chips. And a lot of people be having a problem with that, but we're gonna get into it. We're gonna break it down, man. Welcome to No Cap, No Filter. I'm your host, Marley G. And without further ado, man, let's get into these 6 different ways. The first way, bro, you wanna be a minimalist. Damn near. I ain't saying just be on some the father of everybody hates Chris, Mr. Krabs, but you gotta be a little bit frugal, you gotta, watch what you're spending, no matter how much is in your bank account. You just don't want to just be blowing it. A lot of people who making a lot of money, believe it or not, they still be kind of frugal. That's how what they always say, the rich stay rich. But you want to cut out subscriptions that's unnecessary. Like a lot of people be having unnecessary subscriptions that they just having, and it's just taking money from their card monthly, and a lot of it's on auto pay. You want to meal prep, when it comes to you going to work, going to school. You want to have food, prepared, for throughout the week, at least a good 3 4 days. Or get inexpensive meals. Find you something that you could really, get yourself full off, that that's around $6. No more than $7. $6 7 is a good, uh price range for when it comes to just buying food on a daily basis. Now when you spending $15 a day, that's when it could eat your pockets. Um, don't be clubbing every weekend. Yes, have your fun, but you got to get to a point where if you do have fun, it's here and there. A family function, a outing with your friends. Maybe going to hit some bars downtown that's free to get into, but clubbing every weekend, you got to worry about gas, you got to worry about paying to get in, parking, like all that adds up if you doing it week in, week out. No designer clothes. It's good to be fresh. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of these designer clothes, they scamming y'all out here. I mean, when you know how to put that shit on without having to put a price tag on it, that's when you really win it. And a lot of people, they be looking foolish, but they want to back it up, say, man, this costs what you gonna call it. Oh yeah, now you looking foolish in something that costs you, however much money you spent on that. But also, you ain't got to get no new phone update. The new phone update you about to get, you ain't even about to use all them features. As long as you could text, talk, got internet, got social media, you good. That's really all you need. You know what I'm saying? You ain't about to do that much with the 18 iPhone than you did with the 17 iPhone. Um, and live on your means, man. When it comes to rent and all this and all that, be mindful of the area you trying to live in. A lot of people try to live above their means. You know, sometimes you could be trying to get into a new spot and it costs 700 more dollars than your last spot. And yes, you moving in a better neighborhood, nicer apartment. But if you can't afford that, don't go out your way to be living above your means. And that go the same with getting new cars and stuff. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. So that's the first one. I think that's kind of pretty obvious. But the second thing, you gotta get that OT. I don't care what job you work. At the end of the day, what's gonna matter if the check is big or not is getting overtime. What's gonna matter is the check is big or not is getting double time. Some jobs even do double time and a half, I heard. But at the end of the day, dog, you gotta get overtime. Yes, it's cool to make money, but you wanna get that overtime so you could really get the bang for your buck out this job. You know what I'm saying? Um, so if you ain't really stinging them for the overtime, you ain't just gonna be making that much money. And if you trying to save, you want your money to be coming in at a nice decent amount. You know what I'm saying? So you could be putting it to the side. Next thing, that's the third thing. Getting the overtime was the second. To go to the third thing. The third thing, cut out certain habits. And what I mean by that, a lot of us have our vices. A lot of us have certain habits that we are slaves to. A lot of us have certain habits that we just can't shake, but once you shake it, you get up that monkey off your back. You know how many people be smoking and they kick that habit because they was on probation and they realize how much money they've been saving? Like, man, if you ain't just out here spending, money on weed for like a half an ounce every week, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna be saving. Um, and that goes for, all type of weed, all type of, drugs you might indulge in, and even women. Women can be a drug to some men, you know. Sometimes you get so caught up with women, you have an unexpected kid, you know. So when it comes to women, y'all know how much it costs just for a single man a date? On average, the single man spends a lot of money when it comes to dating these days. So if you got dates set up throughout the week, you got her on Monday, her on Wednesday, her on Friday, her on Sunday. Taking all these women out gonna put a hole in your pockets. That's why you gotta date them all and then find the one that you gotta do the least help for. That's the one who you need to focus on. And that's another thing. Stop chasing a woman that don't like you. Mess with the girl that like you, because the girl that like you ain't gotta do much for. The woman that you gotta do all these requirements for, she don't like you. She gonna make it way more hard for you to see her and all this and all that. And evidently she just gonna burn through your money. Because women like that get off on spending a man's resources, time, and money. So yes, women definitely can be a bad habit. I ain't saying don't mess with women at all, but you know, be mindful on who you taking out on dates, spending money on, and how much. Certain girls just play something cool. Maybe an ice cream date, go shoot pool, but go and spend $150, go and eat at this steakhouse and all that. Oh no. Another thing that's a bad habit, gambling. A lot of men are having bad gambling issues these days, and I think a lot of this is coming from these streamers getting all these brand deals with all these gambling platforms, and that's making these young men get into this gambling. A lot of dudes want to get into parlay when football season and basketball season come around, and that could really burn a hole through your pockets. Trust me, I learned my lesson good. After a few years, I started realizing all the money I was spending on gambling. I stopped doing that, and I started seeing a big increase in my savings. um and on top of that, trading and buying stocks. Trading and buying stocks is very good, but if you're uneducated and you're not doing your research, I advise you to not get into that, and be just trying to do it and winging it, thinking you're just going to get lucky. Do your research, get educated, practice at it on the demo version. And when it comes to buying stock, don't be having that FOMO. Don't be having that fear of missing out. Sometimes you got to do your research, and yes, it's cool to take, risk here and there, but don't just go crazy, because some of that down there the same as gambling, if you don't know what you're doing. So that's the third reason, cut out certain bad habits. The fourth reason, this one right here is a cheat code. Drive a used car. Cars are one of the worst investments you can have. Soon as you drive it off the lot, what they say, it depreciates in value. If you don't have a car note in this uh society that we living in right now, you are winning, my friend. I don't care if you driving, it's 2026. I don't care if you driving a 2018 Honda. That Honda could last you a very long time. And the two best cars I recommend getting, Hondas and Toyotas. They're very low maintenance. You can ride them till the wheels fall off, and they very reliable, you know. So I definitely recommend, if you got a car note, if you close to paying it off, don't get no new contract. Don't jump into a brand new uh 2027, whatever the case. Stick with your car that you just paid off. And if you don't have a car, save up until you get a nice used car. Get you a family member or friend who know about cars, or a mechanic that you trust. Test drive it with him, and you know Go ahead on and just get that used car. I recommend saving at least $3,000 to $5,000. Now, that was something I recommended years ago. To in today's time, it might be a little bit more expensive, but it'll damn sure be worth it. Do not buy a car. Get a used cash car. My last and final thing, get a side hustle. In this economy, a lot of people feeling like you need two jobs. I ain't necessarily saying you need to get a second job. You could just pick more hours up at the job you already have, unless the second job is paying you more than your original job, preferably $3 to $4 more. But and if the second job is offering a lot of OT, but just get a side hustle, period. Learn a skill. Maybe you want to get into content creation. Just find you a second form of income. You have what, maybe six forms of bills. You shouldn't have one form of income. If you got six form of bills, you should have at least half of that in income. So you want to have at least three forms of income. But if you could get at least two, you got your job and you got your side hustle. I don't care if you know how to cut hair. I don't care if you kind of thinking about getting into bartending, tattooing. I don't care if you real good when it come to drawing. You could paint for people. Like, find you a side hustle that can make money. Even if it's doing DoorDash or Uber. Find you a side hustle. That's gonna that's gonna definitely help out when it comes to you having just play money, or you having emergency money, or you know just extra money is always a good thing. But I'm saying all this for the men out there that's you know having issues when it comes to saving money. Some people is so bad that they'll give their money to people that they trust so they can hold their money so they don't spend it. And a lot of those people are people who have an addiction with gambling or something like that, or just they just don't respect money and they just spend it soon as they get it. It's a lot of you'll be surprised how many people who either scam, sell drugs, or strip, or a lot of people who get money fast, or people who work jobs and get paid every week. They spend their money just as quick as they get it, so they can't save it. You'll be surprised how many people live like that. But when you start getting money and when you start saving money, you're gonna start attracting money. And what I mean by that, money opportunities is gonna start coming to you. You're going to get job opportunities. You're going to get people giving you a lead on a job. You're going to get people asking you, uh, do you want to go into a business with such and such? Or, hey, man, I got this idea. All you got to do is, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, you're going to attract money. You know what I'm saying? Like, people want to spend money and make money with people who they feel like is getting money. Um, and also, you don't want to foolishly spend money or invest. You know what I'm saying? Do your research when it comes to making an investment, especially if it's a costly purchase. That's one of the main things I did wrong. I bought me a car and I made a $10,000 investment, and that went nowhere, you know. So you definitely want to save your money so it can save you. Definitely want to do that. And like I said, man, do extensive research on any investment you're trying to do, because even with certain investments, you don't want to have FOMO, that fear of missing out. It's gonna always be another opportunity come. It's not the last opportunity. So if it's a very costly investment, definitely do your research. And if you feel like it's without a shadow of a doubt or foolproof, can't miss opportunity, then by all means, take your risk. But you definitely don't want to just foolishly invest, and you definitely want to just don't want to foolishly just start spending money. Like, sometimes you could get big headed and you got a lot of money, and yes, you probably have it in your checkings and your savings, but that don't mean just go blow it just because, you know. But I hope this could help somebody out. Um, I think when it comes to financial literacy, I think our community definitely, can do better when it comes to saving, when it comes to, just learning how to move money, just learning about, all sorts of things dealing with financial literacy. I definitely think we could get in a better place. But one of the best things you could do when it comes to money is save it, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. Hopefully somebody out there, they could take this video and it helps them out. But if you like the video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed yet, what you're waiting on. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.